Welcome to Level Up Academy podcast, where we explore the diverse set of skills that can be applied across various industries and professions. Each episode will deep dive into the world of transferable skills, discussing topics like communication, problem solving, critical thinking, and more. Join us as we speak with experts in different fields and share stories of individuals who have successfully transferred their skills from one industry to another. Whether you're a recent grad, a mid-career professional, or someone looking to make a career change, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's discover how you can leverage your existing skills to excel in any industry. Welcome to Level Up Academy podcast. This is your host, Dr. Leland, a serial educator, an opportunities designer, and a compassionate leader. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome. Today is a very special day. I know I say special day all the time. First of all, I wanted to announce that we are now, if you see my live, we are now in 63 nations and countries. Woo woo. And I'm still at 6 continents, guys. I still need someone other than the penguin, okay? In Antarctica, that's the only continent that you cannot hear Level Up Academy podcast. So we are moving along. I'm going to have a very special guest today. And he actually has a lot of books. And surprisingly, which is kind of cool, I guess, tidbit, he knows my husband since they were young, so which is kind of funny. But this is the book. I don't know if you can see it. It says New You Discover the Magic Pill. And Jerry is going to come up soon. But before that, I wanted to give a shout out. So at 10 o'clock today, hey, Janice. Hey, Samantha. Hey, American. At 10 o'clock today, another live podcast from one of my good friends, Susanna Dawn and Paul, is also happening. So right after this, we're going to go to on that podcast as well. Janice, 63 countries. Yes, I know. I need Antarctica. That's the 6 continents. So I have all continents except for Antarctica. So then I would have the world, right? My goal is to level up the world through adversity conversations and things like that. By the way, guys, I'm going to highlight Janice here. This is Janice, my sister from the Hounds. She is an inventor. I bought her Tossy pillow. Janice, if you would, please go ahead and type in your website where people can actually buy it. Hello. And to see, like, it's an awesome. So I gained weight from basically the pandemic, right? And I snore like at night, and my husband's like, turn around, you're snoring again. But I got Janice's pillow, and her story is very incredible. And when I actually put it in, it's the V line, like think of like a football, those V line where you kick the ball in. That's on the back of my neck, so it supports me, so I would be open. So I guess my throat in here is open, and it puts like an acupressure on here, so I don't snore anymore, and it's like fully supported, and you can actually do that. And Janice promised me that she will name one of her pillowcase, so long as it's pink, I'm in. After me, which is CJ. I was like, yes, sister, bring it. So that is it, the shout out. Mike, I believe, has a show today from the Hounds as well. Mike Asherbrenner. And then we have Raquel on Saturday, I believe. So yes. So thank you so much for being here. Hello, sisters. I will go to Antarctica. Yes, please. I want someone to go to Antarctica so I can have 7 continents. But other than that, we have on my list, there's 193 countries and nations. So I'm not even halfway there, but I am doing my micro, okay? And I'm talking about like micro wins, like, okay, 63 countries. A year ago, I was at 0 countries. Year later, I'm at 63 nations and countries. So I'm super happy about that. Hello, Susanna. See, Susanna's here. She's gonna have a show with Paul at 10 a.m. right after this. So thank you. I'm just doing my shout out for all my brothers and sisters out there. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Jerry because he has an interesting story. Are you guys ready? I know I am. Are you ready, Jerry? You guys can't see him, but I can see him. All right, come on in, Jerry.
Good morning.
Morning.
And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody else, because I know this is in 63 countries on 6 continents, which is
Right.
like, so the time frame might be different for different people. So good, hello and good day. How about that? Good day. It covers everybody. So thank you so much, CJ, for this opportunity to address everybody and have this important conversation about health. It's funny. You actually mentioned something in the intro where you said that you put on a couple pounds during the pandemic. And I think that is something that was almost universal globally. We all got put into this situation that none of us had ever dealt with before. And one of the facts of the matter is stress eating is a huge problem. And so we all got burdened with a level of stress that none of us had ever used before. Plus, we had to hunker down. We were at home, and I'll tell you what. It's a lot easier to go snack when your refrigerator is 5 feet away from where you're doing your daily work. So yeah, I think we all kind of understand that, and it's actually some personal stuff that happened with me is actually what kind of motivated a renewed journey back to good health. So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody today, and it's great seeing you.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you here. Actually, when I was talking to you right before this, like what, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and you sent me your book, and I was like, geez, I was reading it. I'm like, that happened to you? Holy moly. What the? Oh my, like I literally was like in tears. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so sad." Like, and the fact that you're still smiling. Tracy is here. Woo woo, hi sister. So I wanted to go back before we get into a deep conversation of nutritional therapy. Because I see here that you're a hydration expert and certified nutritional therapist. So,
Correct.
can you take me back 20 years of your life and tell me like significant activities or adversities that you had to experience from then till now and how you got here today?
Absolutely. So we'll do the woo going back in time type of thing. So 20 years ago, I was actually the director of sales and marketing for a marketing company. We were representing a high tech communications product, and basically our job was to um, develop the user base so that they could do an IPO. That was what our job was. And at the very tail end of 2006, we actually accomplished that. We were wrapping up that project. Well, in the midst of all that, I was putting in long hours and I was fueling myself with Mega Monsters. If anybody's familiar with Monster Energy drink, there's the big can. That's for amateurs. I was on like the barrel, and I was drinking 3 to 4 of those a day. I was almost 300 pounds. I was basically a heart attack just waiting to happen. And fortunately, as I was going into 2007, me and some of the team that I'm a part of, we were looking for a new project, and we stumbled across this alkaline water thing. And I researched it to begin with, and I thought it was a bunch of new wave mumbo jumbo, kumbaya, go down by the river, and everybody, hold hands, and that's what I thought it was. But once I actually started looking into it, and I researched that particular product, that particular byproduct, for almost 9 months before I finally decided, hey, you know what? This is something that I think I might want to become a part of. And so I ended up buying one of the devices, and after about a month, I realized that this was something that I could actually pursue on the business side. And so I started really working it and got a lot of real fast success, which was nice. Um, it was great for me because it actually at that time I was probably in the worst shape of my life, and by being introduced to this aspect of health through hydration to begin with, it kind of refocused me. When I was younger, I was very athletic. I was always running around doing stuff. But then, as we get older, life kind of gets in the way of the things that you like to do, and then there's things that you have to do. And the have tos were draining so much of my energy that the like tos were going off to the side. And so, I was getting out of shape. And what's really sad is that as individuals, I don't think we ever really notice it that much ourselves. because we see ourselves in the mirror every day. So those little tiny nuanced changes, we kind of get used to. So, that's why a lot of times people have that aha moment. They're like, I woke up and I was 300 pounds. It's like, no, you didn't wake up and you were 300 pounds. You had been going there. It's just, you didn't notice it until then,
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times that happens with people. And I thought where my story, I know is not going to be the same as everybody else's. I think the reality is there's bits and pieces that are relatable to just about everybody. Because, look, we all go through traumas, we all go through issues, we all go through problems, and that a lot of times have the same outcome, which is we're the ones that end up suffering the consequences of a lot of times our own actions. So when I got introduced to the whole water thing, I ended up I became very knowledgeable. That's the kind of person I am. It's like when I'm part of something, I want to know the ins and outs. I do not like being asked a question that I can't answer, especially if it's in my industry, And so I started researching. And what ended up happening is I actually, my team was very strong. And the guy was kind of he's my right-hand guy. Actually, he was the chairman of the company that I was the director of sales and marketing for previously. And so he basically came to me and said, hey, Jerry, here's what we're going to do, man. When it comes to live demonstrations and presentations, I'll do a lot of the heavy lifting on stage. And he said, you become the answer guy. And I was like, no problem. So he started referring people over to me over the phone. And I literally got to a point where at the beginning, I was getting 1 or 2 calls a day. Well, this is a person that he will not connect with a project if he doesn't feel that he can make 7 figures a year at a minimum. He's got a beautiful house in Newport Beach. I mean, it's like he's been very established in the industry for a long time. And so I said, okay. So those 1 or 2 calls ended up, and I'm not exaggerating, it got to the point where I was fielding about 50 calls a day.
Oh,
50. And what I discovered, though, is out of 50 people, they were only asking 10 questions.
Oh.
Everybody basically had the same general questions. They just didn't have a place to find that answer. And so as a result of that, I said, you know what? I like to write. I always have. So I started jotting down what the questions were and then jotting down what my answers were. And eventually I ended up with this.
Nice.
And so it's now in the 6th edition, and I've sold over 50,000 copies to distributors of this project. And I've helped a lot of people with that. And I ended up, as a result of the success of Ride the Wave, I ended up creating I've got a resource website for distributors that's free. I mean, there's resources on there. They're absolutely free. I created some brochures. I actually published 8 different magazines that were talking about different aspects of the water, more specific. And so I became very, very ingrained in that whole world. And I really used my writing ability and everything else to try to help those other distributors make their process easier. And that's one of the things. A lot of people in my industry, they refer to my book as the Alkaline Water Bible. They're just like,
nice.
this is the book that you need that's going to give you a good year and a half head start on the business side of what we do. And so I was like excited, and that led to other things, which some of the biggest were the trainings and the presentations. I ended up having the opportunity to not only participate in, but actually help organize some of the biggest events in my industry. We did an event in Las Vegas where we had 4,000 in-person attendees, and I was one of the trainers, and I actually helped organize that entire event. And all of that ended up kind of making me like the go-to guy for a lot of people in my industry. And I had made several $1 million, through that business and those products. And in 2019, I realized I really there was a gap in my knowledge. You asked me something about water, no problem. But I was missing some of those other pieces when it comes to overall health. And so in 2019, I actually became a certified nutritional therapist, not to become a certified nutritional therapist and like a practicing one. It was for my own knowledge.
Yeah.
But that additional knowledge has it's really done me well, because it helped fill in gaps for me, and also that I could implement for my family. And so from that, we come into 2020, and I was right before 2020. I was looking at the upcoming year. I was going, okay, we're going into 2020. I love little like weird stuff that makes connections. So 2020, I was like, 2020 is when we're going to focus our foresight. We're going to be able to see things. I was using that whole eye connection, you know. Ironically enough, the 2020, none of us saw coming. You know, it's that
2020
was
was toilet paper. That's
yeah,
what it was. Toilet
exactly,
paper.
exactly. Well, in the middle of 2020, we
Yeah.
had some really devastating um, personal things happen. Ironically, it had nothing to do with COVID. Absolutely nothing to do with COVID. And so I'll sum it up like this. Within a 24-hour period of time, my brother-in-law, who was living with my wife and I, he had a brain aneurysm. She found him laying on the floor of his bedroom. And the next day, I found out that my friend of over 30 years had died. That was within a 24-hour period of time.
When I read that, I fell over my chair. I was like, can it get any worse? Is there anything? I was scared, Jerry, to read the pages after that when you said that. I was like,
Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough, and as a result of that, my my mom and my sister actually we were living in Temecula at the time, and we've since actually relocated to Florida. But at the time we were living in Temecula, and my mom and my sister actually only lived a couple blocks away, and so they were extremely supportive in just everything, and we're gluten free as part of our dietary strategies, and so they to try to make things easier for us to bear. They were actually bringing us food, you know, just because it was really a tough time because my brother-in-law hung in there for 4.5 months. So we were on the phone with the hospital every single day. I mean, to the point, they literally, the first 4 days, they didn't know it was a brain aneurysm. They thought he had had a massive stroke. And so they even called us up. You should come to the hospital and say goodbye. He's nothing. He's just laying here. That didn't end up being the case. So, but yeah, it was a very difficult time. And so they started bringing us over all this food, and we thankfully were eating it. You know, we were stress eating, and they became very good at, because my mom's also gluten free, so they became very good at gluten free baking. And so they were literally on almost a daily basis. They bring us a dozen cupcakes, and there was three of us in the household at the time: my wife, myself, and my son. And those dozen cupcakes were gone that night, all of them. And so the next day they'd bring over a cake. The next day they'd bring over 2 dozen cookies. And every time that they brought something over, we made sure it was polished off. And one night, my wife and I were winding down our day. We're watching TV, and she goes, "Honey, I think there's something wrong." And I turned to look at her. She's looking at me, and she looked just like this. And I thought she was goofing around. I thought she was playing around because that's kind of what our humor is. We would do dumb things like that with each other, you know, anything to make the other one chuckle. And when I looked at her I said, "Hun, are you playing around?" And she was like, "No." And I said, "Oh crap." And so the next day we went down to the emergency room. We got her all checked out. They checked her. They said that her A1Cs were extremely elevated. They needed her to go in and do some other blood work, which she did. When the doctor got back to her, her A1Cs were actually 10.5. They said you could go blind, you could have a stroke, and actually it had affected her eye because of that. So she was in full blown diabetes. And well, I checked some stuff out. I was actually pre-diabetic, and so we are not the type of people who take threats. We just don't. I mean, or like the scare tactics. We don't subscribe to that. And one of the doctors tried that with her. And they were like, and she said, "Really? So if I don't start taking this medicine that you want me to, this prescription medicine that you want me to take, I could die over the weekend." And she was like, "I don't think so." And she just, boom, in her mind, she said, I am going to change what I'm doing. And she did. My wife is half Vietnamese. And so rice has been a huge staple in her lives.
Yeah.
And she ended up stopping eating rice completely. Completely. I know. And it was like, wow. And so
I'm Asian. I have to have rice. What?
Exactly. And it was the exact same thing. And so, but she did her own research, and she found out the things that were contributing to the aspect of the diabetes and that was one of the things that she definitely needed to cut out. And so I was being supportive, and I was helping cook the dinners because I do enjoy cooking. So I was cooking her like, chicken breast strips with, with some asparagus, and she loves okra. So I was making her okra and everything.
I
But
love
at the same time I was doing that for her, I was still making myself a pound of chicken nuggets and a pound of fries
Oh
for
my
my
God.
dinner. And so I'm filling the whole house with these aromas of French fries and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I'm doing such a great job of being supportive of my wife by cooking her. And I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was actually contributing to making it so much more difficult for her. And so
Yeah.
after that, I kind of said, okay, you know what? I have to make a change. And because she was doing it, I was like, holy mackerel. She started losing weight. She jumped on an exercise bike. And at first, about 10 minutes. She could do about 10 minutes. Now she's up to an hour, almost an hour and a half. And she does it daily. And she was doing it. The weight started dropping off. She started feeling better. And I finally said, okay, Jerry, you know what, man? If you're really going to be supportive, then you don't need to be supportive from afar. You need to be in the game.
In there. Yeah.
And so I started doing it too. And hey, you know what? There's something to be said about metabolisms and things like that. I started losing weight so much faster than she did. And again, it's, well, she had my son. I didn't. So, I didn't have an excuse to maintain any baby fat. That was because I'm not the one who carried him. I always tell her, it's like sympathy pains. It was sympathy fat. That's what it was. So after all of that, and her transformation was really what got me to like really start thinking about the aspect of the food and all the things that we were doing. And when we relocated, I was on the road, and funny enough, we ended up shipping all of our stuff over here in those pods. And we have an RV. So we had planned, okay, well, we're going to make a cross-country trip, see some friends and family we hadn't seen for a while. And so we made a 4,000-mile trip across the United States before we got to Florida. Well, my eldest, my son and my daughter, they live in Missouri. And so when I went to see my daughter, we step out, we say hi to everybody. I say hi to the grandkids. Everything's great. I go in and I'm talking to everybody. She pulls my wife aside and says, Susan, is Dad okay? And Susan's
you're losing weight? Is that what it was?
My daughter's a nurse. And so she said, she thought based on the way that I look, because the last time she had seen me, I was that big fat guy from before. So now she sees me and she's like, oh God. And she literally said, does Dad have cancer?
That would be my first thought. I'd be like, you okay? Yeah.
And she said, no, he's just lost weight. And so actually in the book, that's one of the things I mentioned is I actually say, look, if you are going to go through a weight loss journey, make sure that you tell your loved ones. Yeah, tell your loved ones you're going on this journey. And so as a result of that, I was like, wow, did I change that much? Because again, when you see yourself in the mirror every day, you're not really thinking about the changes that are happening because they're so minute on a daily basis that you don't notice them until they've accumulated. Well, because of the time frame of her seeing me, she was like, oh my God, Dad's dying, but I didn't. And so when we actually left from there, my daughter was the last stop of friends and family that we were going to have during our trip. And then we went down through Alabama and, by the way, Alabama, absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But on a drive through Alabama, I'm in this beautiful picturesque location. I mean, it is trees for as far as I can see. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Green,
and I'm kind of in my own head. And I'm thinking, wow, this has been pretty amazing. I'm driving the RV, and I'm just kind of thinking about stuff. And I thought, wow, this has been a pretty amazing journey. Yeah. And I said, I wonder, maybe I should document it. Maybe I should chronicle this.
You're in that moment again of writing. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I thought about it and I said, the funny thing is that because of how skeptical everybody's become,
yeah,
I was like, if somebody saw me then and they saw me now, they'd be like, wow, what'd you find? Some kind of magic pill? That was what my thought was. And I thought, you know what?
That's why you wrote that book, right?
I made a new me, and you can make a new you. And that's why I actually called Discovering the Magic Pill for Health and Happiness, because in that journey, I did discover the magic pill. But ironically enough, Here's a spoiler alert for everybody. Ironically enough, the magic pill is not a pill. A magic pill doesn't exist. But that's not to say that magic doesn't exist. Okay?
Yeah.
Magic exists, but it's inside of each of us. And we have been so convinced that we are so powerless without the help of all these other things, products, people, government, this, that, all these things that want to just say, you need us. And I'm here to say, you need you.
Yeah.
You need to tap back into that magic that's inside of you. And people go, what? There's magic inside of me, and I'm like, yeah. Have you ever been someplace and someone that you did not know? You looked across the room, you met eyes, you smiled, and as a result of that smile, they smiled back.
I can't do that. They will start flirting. I did that once.
Okay. And that's but the reality is, if by just looking at someone and making a facial feature, you can make them smile. If you don't think that's magic, then what the hell is?
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. That's magic. I mean, David Copperfield making a rabbit come out of a hat or something. That's not magic. That's sleight of hand. Okay. Yeah. Magic is something that you can't.
Inside you.
When you held your child for the very first time.
Yeah.
That was magical,
that
right?
Moment. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the magic I'm talking about. And I think we've gotten so out of touch with that in my book, I wanted to divulge all the crap that we went through to let people know, hey, look, I'm not coming to you from some pedestal, okay? Yeah. At all. I mean, that's in the book. I tell people, hey, look, I have been high up on the mountain. I've been low down in the valley, okay? There was a time, for about 6 months, I was homeless. I lived in the back of a car. I mean, it's like, it was not easy. But the effort that I put forth and the result, it was worth it. And that's another thing. Easy, man, throw easy out the window. Life's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be challenging. If your life is easy, I'm sorry, your life probably sucks. I mean, that's just the reality, okay? Because a difficult life, it's much more rewarding because it challenges you as a person. Yeah. It does all these different things that allow you to really grow. And that's what this is about, you know? So in October 2022, I started like making notes. Yeah. And by February 2023,
this year,
it was ready. It was done. It was ready to go.
Hey, that's on Amazon, right?
Yes. Okay. It's available on Amazon. And actually, I have kind of a special announcement for everybody who's watching this and who's here. Besides the people that subscribe to our website, you guys are the first to hear this. That the companion piece that I had been working on, almost at the same time I started working on the New You book, is the New You cookbook. So it's that's it right there. Basically, the New You cookbook is taking in New You, the actual book. I cover a bunch of different dietary strategies. You know, things like gluten-free, keto, paleo, all these different dietary strategies that people are recommending. And what my position is that there's no one diet that works. I mean, think about the word diet, okay? The root word of diet is die. I don't know how good that could be for you, you know, when you really think about it. And so it really, think about it. You think about it.
You're killing.
You know, so I'm like, I don't think a diet is really the best way to go, but I do think that healthy eating habits are something, because those can be long-term. Diet, we all know a diet is supposed to be something that's short-term. It's for short-term results. Yeah. If you want long-term health, you better start focusing on eating habits over diet. And that's why I call them dietary strategies, because what I actually have done is I've used a combination of about probably 7 different dietary strategies that make up the Jerry diet. And you should be doing the exact same thing. You should be finding what dietary strategies, when combined together, make the perfect CJ eating habits. You know, when you do that, then and I'm not going to tell you keto's the only way, you know, or intermittent fasting is the only way. No, it's like there is no only way. The only way is doing what works for you. And so the cookbook actually takes 8 of those dietary strategies. And I have sections for breakfast, lunch, dinner, sides, and even healthy smoothies. If you're having that, you know, you need that little sweet fix. But basically, the recipes that are in there are dedicated. There's 2 recipes for each dietary strategy for each meal. So you want to try. Let's say that you've never tried keto. You don't even know what the hell keto is. Okay, you take this cookbook. You go to, I'm going to have a keto lunch. So you go to lunch. You go to the keto page. There's 2 recipes there to pick from for the lunch. You try one of them, and what the idea is to give people the opportunity to experience these things in a real world application, so they can go, wow, this is keto, or this is gluten free. This isn't your dad's gluten free that tastes like cardboard. This is gluten free that you could be like, I feel fantastic. And these foods are helping create that. So that's really what the idea was with that cookbook, and I'm so happy. It turned out so beautiful. I'm very, I'm very happy.
The cookbook you showed me yesterday, it was really colorful, which I love. And I think what I like about this cookbook though is, okay, I've tried keto. I think I've tried everything, and like you said, the taste is just different. And I can't even drink I'm not a soda drinker, but I am a tea and coffee drinker. And so when I drink diet, I'm like, this tastes like bubbles, like water with smell and bubbles. Oh, and and then of course you get the regular, which also has sugar and aspartame and all this. I was like, Jesus, what, and Sia, actually, I wanted to ask you this question. Oh, where did it go? She said something about, oh, there it is. She said about but Asia does so well and we eat all the rice. If the food is produced healthier out there, is it really the rice that's a problem? I think it's also the lifestyle, right? It's not really because here in America, we drive. Over in Asia, they walk, they sweat, you know what I mean? Like, they do work. Here, it's like, oh my God, it's 2 miles. Let me drive there. That's me too. Sometimes I was like, oh, it's too hot. Let me put the AC on. You don't sweat ever. So it's not really the rice per se. It's the lifestyle.
It is the lifestyle choices that people are making. And here's the reality though. Okay. It's going to be easier to get somebody to stop eating rice than to stop driving their car.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Especially like if you're in Southern California, tell me you're going to walk around LA. I don't think so. Just because of the danger factor, you probably don't want to do that. But then when you're talking about, well, no, I'm busy. I have things to do and I can't, because the reality is, man, I mean, let's say that you want to save money. Can a pair of shoes pretty much do everything a car can? Yeah, they can get you where you want to go. It's going to take you a heck of a lot longer, but it's like, so that's there's certain realities. And so like for my wife, she knew, because my wife, when she would have a dinner, she would have enough rice for probably 3 people. I am not kidding. Over half the plate just piled on.
Wow.
And so she realized trying to cut down the portions would be helpful, but she knew if I eliminate this completely, it's going to be much more helpful. And that's actually that's what actually inspired her to say, okay, you know what? I've been indulging too much, and sometimes you have to flip the script on a habit like that. That you have to really change it. So that pretty much the last 20 years, that kind of sums it up to bring us to being here today.
Where we're at. Yeah. Well, I also wanted to see, like, for a person like me, right? What are some of the simple steps that people can take to improve their overall wellness? And go easy on me, because I have really bad diet. I barely went to the gym back. I'm committing 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday is what we're going to do with my daughter. So be easy. Like, how can I hydrate myself and slowly get there?
Okay. So first and foremost, people need to understand getting healthy is not nearly as difficult as everybody wants you to believe it is. A lot of times, the things that we think are the most difficult, they have been portrayed like that because somebody can make money off of that difficulty. They can come to you and say, oh, this is going to be super duper hard, so you need my help. Okay, maybe I'm just dumb that, I'm saying, hey, that's not the case. Okay, you have the ability. It's just a matter of making the decision, actually deciding this is what I'm going to do. So that's first and foremost, is the mindset. You have to decide, I care about my health enough to where I'm going to do something about it. And whatever your motivating factor is, that's what you need to tap into. It's your why. I know everybody's heard that. What's your why? You need to identify your why. It might be because you want to live longer. You want to be there to be able to see your kids graduate college. You want to be able to do, you want to be able to see your grandkids someday. Whatever your why is, tap into that to help motivate, because a lot of times people, have the problems that they do is because they don't even have a why. They have no reason to care. So identify that why. The other thing is, I think people need to remember that opportunity happens every single day. Okay. And if you don't seize that opportunity, then the opportunity is missed. And so there's opportunities for you to make a good decision. It's lifestyle choices. It's creating new habits for yourself. It's instead of running down for lunch and grabbing a quick bite because it seems more convenient and it's faster and it's salty goodness and you can just throw it in your gullet and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing good for myself. Yeah, no. We all know that this is another thing too. There's this thing, I don't know how many people have heard of it before. It's called common sense.
Common sense is not so common sometimes.
It's not so common anymore. But let's be real. I think it's 2023. If you are an adult and you don't know that fast food is not good for you, then you are either kidding yourself or you are absolutely not paying attention. Because
or you don't care.
Or you don't care. There are so many studies out there that let people know this is stuff that you should stay away from. It's like you just stay away from it. Why? Well, think about it. If something's on a dollar menu, how good for you could that actually be? If you really think about it, if they're willing to sell this thing to you for $1, you got to figure it probably costs them about a nickel. Because they need their margins and they need their profits and everything. And it's like, it's not cheap to run a big restaurant. So it's like, when you start thinking about that, realize that you're being victimized and you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing yourself any favors. And, for anybody who does it in the name of convenience, I'm going to let you know right now, being in a hospital bed for the last 6 months of your life, definitely not convenient.
No.
Think about that. Think about how your actions today are going to have consequences for your future self. And you need to remember your future self because your future self is relying on you to even exist. So give your future self a chance and kind of like create an insurance policy for yourself through your own habits and through what you're doing, because it's going to make life a lot easier. Couple of things. If it's packaged in plastic, probably not a good idea. I mean, as far as health is concerned, it's not to say that there's certain realities again.
Wait, let me ask you something. I go to Trader Joe's and those, like the convenient, like you just need to cook it and heat it up. And are those bad for you too?
Terrible for you. And here's the reason that they're terrible for you is that in order for them to package those up like that, they have to load them with preservatives.
True.
I'm surprised that when people die these days, they don't just look the way that they do for like 3 or 4 years. Because we have so many preservatives in our bodies, it would probably preserve us.
That's why, even though I'm approaching 50, I have a lot of preservatives.
Exactly. See, everybody's like, oh, that's why I look so youthful. Yeah, well, you know what? That's
I go to my class and my students are like, who's our teacher here? I'm like, I'm here. They're like,
me.
No,
I thought you were the understudy or
I have a lot of preservatives. This is why. Wow.
Another suggestion I would make is learn how to read a label, food labels, because you want to make sure that you are educating yourself about like things like sugar content, sodium content, serving sizes. It's amazing to me how many people do not realize that when they look on the back of a label and they read that and they go, oh, this only has 6 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
But then that's because you're not looking up that it's saying the serving size is like, look at a serving size for like potato chips. It'll literally say, all those numbers that you see is based off of 5 potato chips. And I don't know about you, but the last time I dug into a bag of chips, I sure the heck didn't eat 5. I probably ate the whole bag. Exactly. So, and it says serving size, right? And then it says servings per container. Well, if the servings per container are 20 and it says it's got 6 grams of sugar, the entire container has 120 grams of sugar. That it's important that people actually understand these things because, look, they say that knowledge is power. I nix that. I say, no, it's not. Okay. Knowledge is potential power. Applied knowledge is power. Because I know plenty of people have plenty of knowledge, but they don't use it.
Yeah.
And so they're powerless as a result. I am very adamant to say applied knowledge is power, because when you apply that knowledge, you're now doing some great stuff. You're now doing some great stuff. And then the last one I would say, and also if you, the ingredients, it's a very important piece. If you cannot pronounce the ingredients or the ingredients in a package sound like a science experiment, understand the experiment is you. Okay. So when you read it, if you're reading these things and you're like, man, I can't, if it's got more than 12 syllables, you probably shouldn't put it in your mouth. That's probably a good rule of thumb. So, because it's all chemicals, it's all man-made stuff. The more natural you go, the better off you're going to be. Okay. And then the last one, in my opinion, and probably one of the most important, is be properly hydrated. And hydrated does not mean liquids. It means water, actual liquid water. Okay. Good rule of thumb too, because everybody's no, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. And here's the thing. As a matter of fact, that's a diuretic. What that is doing for your body to process the coffee through you, it actually uses more water than you're putting into you. Okay. So if you're drinking the proper amount of liquid water on a daily basis, here's the easiest way to know what that amount is. Because that whole eight glasses a day, throw that out the window. That's BS. It's absolute BS. It's based on you. And the best rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces on a daily basis. So let's say that you weigh 200 pounds. That means you need to consume 100 ounces of water per day. Now, when I say that to people, they go, 100 ounces? That's incredible. I could never do that in a full day. And then I'm like, do you think you could drink 2 super big gulps in a day? In 24 hours? And they look at me and go, I could drink 2 super big gulps in 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, then you can drink the water, because 100 ounces, 2 super big gulps is 128 ounces. So it's like, it's a matter of just actually understanding the numbers to go, okay, so in a 24-hour period of time, yes, but realize this, you drink that coffee, you cannot include that. That's not part of your half your body weight. No? Anything that has anything else in it, you have to remember, when it has something else in it, your body has to do stuff to get that out.
Dang it. So I'm literally dehydrated and lack of vitamin D. Wonderful. I'm a walking somebody to...
Well, no, it's not just you, CJ. That's the thing. It's not just you. We've all become the victims of predatory marketing, predatory advertising, and consumer manipulation. They make these commercials that they convince you in a matter of 30 seconds that their product will make your life better. And we've become so convinced of this that we allow common sense to fly out the window and say, wait a second. That's not going to be good for me. Are you kidding me? God, that's not good for me. I need to be more natural. I need to do things more naturally. But yeah, the proper hydration, and for me personally, and I go into great detail in this in the book, explaining alkaline ionized water, actually what it is, how it affects the body, what it does for you, how it hydrates you on a much deeper level. It's really weird. If you take a bottle of water, and bottled water, by the way, some of the worst stuff you could do. If you're drinking bottled water, get rid of that. I'm telling you, bottled water is actually regulated by the FDA.
Yeah.
Okay? Tap water is regulated by the EPA. It's completely different. The bottled water industry, they have one inspector for the entire industry. So it's really hard I know. It's really hard for them to actually be able to know that all of the different things that you should be meeting are being met. And the saddest thing is most bottled water is simply repackaged tap water anyway. These companies do not have some magic source they get their water from. They get their water source just like everybody else. What you're actually paying for, you're not paying for the water, you're paying for the plastic bottle. You're paying for that convenience.
Isn't there some time, okay, so my daughter was telling me, Mom, don't buy this water. I forgot what it was, but it has sodium in it, which actually...
A lot of them do. That's the other thing, too. If the water that you're drinking has ingredients, that means there's adding stuff to it. It's why are they doing that? And a lot of times the sodium, the reason that they add the sodium is because it actually makes you more thirsty. And they feel like...
you want to buy more.
You're going to buy more.
I have a question. So Costco, I go to Costco. There's this package that has supposedly give you more hydration because I work out. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to have more. And it tastes kind of medicine-y, but I'm like, okay, fine. If it's going to keep me hydrated, I'll drink it. Is that anything good for you as well?
No,
or no?
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, it's more of the same. It's more of the consumer manipulation. It's getting you to believe that you need to electrolytes. I'm going to use that one because in the book I actually have a section about buzzwords.
Yeah.
I have a section in the book about buzzwords because I think what happens is you hear these buzzwords floating around, and most people they're embarrassed if they don't understand something or know something, and if they're not willing to look it up, if it ever comes up, they'll just kind of nod in agreement. Oh, okay, yeah, oh yeah, I know all about that. But if you actually ask, I think if you went out and asked 100 people, if you said, what's an electrolyte? I would probably say 99 out of 100 would not be able to actually tell you what it is. And the short answer is electrolytes are salts.
Yep.
They basically are minerals that are in our body that allow our electrical synapses to actually happen. It allows electrical impulses to happen. That's exactly how it happens. So that's all they are. That's all they are. And so in the book, I actually cover a bunch. As a matter of fact, almost half the book is these buzzwords. I wanted to make sure that I empowered people with knowledge so that they could apply that now. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's in alphabetical order too. So you don't have to go running through trying. If you want to find, go to that section. It's the glossary of terms.
What I love about this book, I need glasses. So this book is written big enough that I don't need glasses. Thank you very much.
That's exactly why I did that. I'm 54 right now. I'm going to be a senior citizen this year.
And look, you
too.
Shut up. I'm going to be there soon enough. Oh my gosh, we're not talking about that. So like there's a notes section, which I love because like what I'm doing, but like seriously, the very beginning of this book is kind of sad. Like I was so sad for you. And
I wanted people to know where I was coming from. I'm a normal person, man. I'm not one of these health gurus who are going to tell you, you listen to every word I say and it'll change your life. You know what? I'm a normal guy who went through an experience that I learned from. And I came out the other side thinking that maybe some of the things that I gleaned from this entire experience could help other people. And that's really what it boiled down to.
Well, before we end, I wanted to ask you, there's a couple of questions. The first one is, I think I engage on a conversation from Brian. He's a doctor. I think he's a surgeon. And I apologize, who's the other person? But basically, we're talking about like what kind of fatty foods that we need to eat, like avocado or salmon, which I eat salmon a lot. Basically, I don't do like fried or anything. I like grilled everything. And so what kind of fatty foods is good for your brain?
This is a very easy one, actually. Again, this is a common sense type thing, okay? Because there's polyunsaturated, unsaturated, trans. I mean, there's all these different things. That's one of the things also in the book that I specifically address, that I speak in layman's terms. I write like I speak, okay? I hate it when somebody has a little bit of knowledge and then they want to flex their mental muscle by using all these terms that other people don't actually know what they mean. I freaking hate that. So I'm like, no, I won't use those terms. Okay. I use very basic terms. When it comes to like good fats and bad fats, here's the easiest thing. Plants, most of them are loaded with good fats. Okay. Fish is another one with good fats. Bad fats, pretty much any kind of fast food or any kind of like processed foods. And it's as simple as that. If you just go, okay, look, and life is about balance. Health is about balance. Okay. I'm not going to tell you, just go eat tofu for the rest of your life and everything will be perfect, because it wouldn't be perfect. Even if it was great for your health, it would kill your mind, because just the ongoing same thing every day. You need some variety. Variety is the spice of life. That's what they say, and I believe it. Okay. So if you are keeping things in balance, okay, I will say I think people should stop drinking sodas 100%. I think if people actually understood how bad sodas were for them, they would stop. They'd especially stop giving it to their kids, because from what I know about soda and how bad it is for you, when you give your kid a soda, you might as well give them a cigarette, because as far as how it's going to affect their health, those things are almost identical. But soda has been so normalized. As a matter of fact, it's almost a piece of Americana. That it's like, oh yeah, well, if we go to the 4th of July, I got to either have my Pepsi or my Coke, and it's like, and again, they've
marketed. Yeah.
They've branded us.
Yeah.
We are the cattle. Those brands is a great thing to call them, because we've all been branded. And I mean, in the side of you, burnt into you,
In
because
your
we
brain,
believe in your
actually.
brain, exactly, and we believe this stuff. And the sad part is that we've become victims of our own lifestyle choices, and
Yeah.
that's one of the main things, especially at the beginning of the book. I do talk about personal responsibility. I mean, I've gone through my challenges in my life, and the only thing that really helped me overcome those things were being able to assume that personal responsibility and say, I am responsible for my outcome. And if I'm not going to do it, why in the world would anybody else? That's
Yeah.
the thing that I really think is an important factor for people to remember, is that, it's like love. You need to love yourself before you're even capable of loving another person. So if you have this disdain for yourself, that is something you need to work through, or you'll never have a healthy relationship in your entire life. So I mean,
Yeah.
and I do talk about some of those things too. Mental health, aspects of mental health and the importance of accepting yourself and who you are, and being able to like move forward in a healthy direction, developing good, sustainable habits that are going to allow you to be okay when those hard things happen. I believe that my family was an excellent example of what can happen when life throws you that curveball, and
Yeah.
you have people that are trying to be helpful, but they don't realize they're actually empowering your demise. Because that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened with my mom and my sister with bringing us over that food. In the moment, we were so appreciative because it
Yeah.
really did, that sweet treat. It felt so much better. For just a moment, it allowed us to not be focusing on the hospitalization, the funeral that I was going to have to be going to, all these different things. It gave us the chance to forget that for a second. But the problem is that forgetting it for a second is setting you up for suffering it for the rest of your life. And I think that sometimes we just have to face it. We have to just come to terms with what's going on in our life, address it, face it, figure out how to overcome it, and then be able to walk away from it. Because I think, especially these days, I think so many people are carrying so much of their past on their back that
Yeah.
that's what's weighing them down. That's what's keeping them from being able to make those positive strides in their life that will have tremendously amazing results for them. But instead, they're just living this mundane existence that they think that's what they have to do. And I'm here to tell you, there's something better. There's something better, and I'm hoping that my book might be a way to open a door or maybe crack open a window that lets you see the light. The light can get, oh, wait a second, you know what? There is a better way. There is a better way for me to do this, and I can do it. I have that ability. I have that power. Hey, look, call me an old softy, but I believe in people. I do. I believe that people can make that change. I do know it's difficult, but again,
Choice.
like I said earlier, I don't know when easy ever became like a standard of greatness. If
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean? If something's easy to me, it probably isn't worth very much.
I
I
think
mean,
we're all given, like, if you really think about it, all the Toys R Us gone, all of these Netflix coming in, Blockbuster, it's all about convenience. And we really bought into that word convenience to the T. Like Amazon, 2 days, why not? I don't want to go out of my house. I just want to order Amazon. It'll be here like 4 o'clock if I order within 5 hours. And I think we need to get out of that convenience mentality and really look for what is good for us. And like you said, there's so many things that you said that I wanted to address in terms of like people are going through tough times right now. And I feel like when the tough gets going, it really measures up on what you can do for yourself. And sometimes, like you said, people have good intentions, but the result of that intention sometimes is not good for you. So you need to
right.
make better choices for yourself, not to be mean, not to be mean to anybody, but more of like, this is me and I'm unapologetic. I'm not going to apologize for people that are going to get run through my decision because it's for me right now. And you can't help
Right.
other people if you don't help yourself. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
that you went through that. I'm glad that you're sharing it. I'm glad that you're here to talk about it. And anybody, when is this book coming out, Jerry? Today?
It's actually launched today. That's why you guys are the first ones to know about this. I mean, it's
And
that
Amazon, right?
I do have it. I do. Yeah. It's actually, if you go to my website, which is yournewubook.com, If you go there, there's links throughout the entire thing that will take you to the Amazon page. It actually goes
Wait,
to a
what is
page with
it?
all,
New you?
it's yournewubook.com. So if you want to order Your New You book, go to yournewubook.com. And from there, it actually, yournewubook.com. That's the one. That's the
Okay.
one.
And then you
So
have how many books in there?
well, if you go in there, there's the New You. There's also, it goes to a page that has all of my titles. So it has the New You. It's got, actually, it doesn't have Ride the Wave, because this is it's kind of separated, because that's really specifically for the distributors of the water product that I'm a part of. So that is actually a separate piece. But it's got the cookbook. It's got New You. It also has, I write children's stories in as well. So it's got my bedtime story with my Dream Dragon character, and then there's 5 different activity books that I actually created that are also on there.
If they need to get a hold of you just to chat or whatnot, where can they find you?
Actually, I'm available pretty much anywhere. If you search my name, I'm very easy to find. I'm very transparent. I'll give everybody my phone number right now if you want me to. I really don't. I'm serious. I have no problem. I get calls from people all the time. I'm actually at the point now in my life that when my phone rings, I answer it. I don't ask, how did you get my number? Who are you? I'll just be like, hi, this is Jerry. How can I help you? And that's pretty much how I address life. It's like, what can I do for you? So, I mean, it's my information is available all over the place. But, I mean, you can look me up on Facebook. Pretty much if you just do a search. My name is unique enough that there's not too many of me on the planet. So
Yeah,
it's like you put in Gerald Kostica, and for the most part, you'll be able to find exactly how to contact me.
this is his LinkedIn, by the way, and there's still some numbers. You need to just keep your name in there to make it easier. But
I don't know. Absolutely nothing. I hope this is part 1. Because I think we could have delved into so much more.
No, next time I'm gonna put you in the kitchen, and we're gonna
put a cook.
Mike and say, Harry, let's cook today. Like, what are we making? Seriously, I'm serious. Like,
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think we should have a series of okay, this week we're gonna cook with Jerry on gluten-free. Please make sure it tastes really good and not like paper. Yeah, that would be great. So that's definitely it. So thank you guys so much for being here. I have a lot of team replays as well. Ooh. This will be on Facebook, also on my YouTube channel, and then this might go out around July or August in our main podcast as well. So thank you so much, Jerry, for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody's time and attention. I hope that you might have picked up something. If you'd like to get a copy of the book, please check it out. If you find it to be useful to you, please share the information. Also, our YouTube channel, I do want to mention our YouTube channel because what I've done is I've taken 25 of the different buzzwords and I've actually created between 1 minute and 3 minute videos that summarize what a lot of these buzzwords mean. And so I call it buzzword bingo. It's like, what are we going to see today? And so if you go check out our YouTube channel, it's just at Gerald Kostica, actually. That is the YouTube channel. It's at Gerald Kostica. And if you check that out, there's a lot of videos there. Please share the information with people. If you go to our website and subscribe, there's benefit to that. I want to help people. I believe that we're in a state right now in our world where people need the help. I think I might be able to give some excellent guidance because of my own personal experience. And I really hope to be able to help people. And CJ, I super appreciate the opportunity to be here and address everybody. So, so thank you very much, everybody.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate your time. Tomorrow, I have another live the same time, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is about mental health tomorrow. I have a specialist that's coming in and we're going to chat about that. And then at 10 to 11 a.m., I'm hoping that you guys are going to be in our private workshop with Dr. Dufrance. Peter actually is going to talk about wildly successful leadership traits. So if you're a business leader out there or you have a leadership position, come on over, register. It's a free event that we're always hosting every single month. We have different topic, but this month we are talking about leadership. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.